So we are back on another video. In this video, we are going to be doing a complete practice test. Not a complete, but let's say half of it. I use this practice test in order to evaluate my students and to gauge at what level they find themselves so that from there we'll know where to pick up. Now, let's proceed from here. We'll begin from question 1. So question 1 says, if a point 1 and 0 is a vertex of a parabola with the equation y is equals to ax squared plus bx plus c, which passes through the points 0 and 1, then the parabola passes also through the point. We know that the general equation of a parabola y is equals to ax squared plus bx plus c. This is the general equation of a parabola. That equation can also be rewritten as y is equals to a into x minus 1 minus k all the square plus, let me correct that, x minus h all the square plus k, where in this equation h and k represents the vertex. What is good about this equation is that it gives us the point of the vertex directly in the equation, so we can exploit that equation in order to use the information that has been given to us. So if we put the point into the equation y is equals to a into x minus h all the square plus k, we can find the value of a and get the equation of that parabola. So if we use the point that is given to us, the vertex 1 and 0, and the point 0 and 1, this will give us h, this will give us k, this will give us x, this will give us y. So we'll get y to be 1 is equals to a into x, which is 0, minus h, which is 1, on that square plus k, which is 0. So this will give us a to be equals to 1. Therefore, the equation of the parabola now becomes x minus 1 all that square. So the real equation of this parabola is y is equals to x minus 1 all the square. All we have to do is just to test now the values that are given to us. If x is equal to 2 according to option 1 and 2, then we should get y to be equals to 2 minus 1 all that square, which is equals to 1. So we can eliminate answer 1 and 2. Now, if x equals to 3, then y should give you 3 minus 2 all that square, which is equals to 4. Therefore, our right answer is answer 5. We move to question 2. During a target shooting competition, Antonio hit 51 targets out of 60. Which percentage of targets did he hit? So to get the percentage that he hit, you will just have to say 51 over 60 times 100. That will give you 510 divided by 60, which is equals to, we know that 6 times 8 is 48. So 48 is closest to 51. So we can say he approximately hit 80%. Let's see, that is 48, 8, remainder 3, actually 85. 85%. Now, question 3. Read the passage below and use the information to answer the next question. Worldwide, the technical potential to increase energy efficiency is considerable. In the next 2 or 3 decades, saving between 10 to 30% could be done at a negative cost, that is, with the economical benefit of the investor all around the world, including areas where Italian companies do operate, simply by intervening on energy conservation and handling the demand. The question 3 says, by a negative cost, they mean, when we're talking about negative cost, that means that the expenditure that you have will be reduced if your expenditure in any venture is reduced, that means you're making a profit, you're making a gain. Therefore, our correct answer here will be answer 2, which says a benefit for the investor. That is correct. Now, question 4. Question 4 says that a given population decreases by 20% every year. What is the approximate percentage left after 5 years? Now, you will notice the key word here that will help us in order to solve this question is the word approximate. Because remember that in the Bocconi, you are not allowed to use calculators. And because you're not allowed to use calculators, you have to learn to manipulate numbers using only your head and the basic mathematical principles you have. In this question, if we have initially 100, let's say initially we had a total population of 100, and the first year it decreases by 20%, that means you'll be left with 80 people. Now, in the second year, we'll have also a 20% decrease, but now this will be a 20% decrease of what you had the first year. So the second year should give you 20% times 80, which will give you 16. So it will drop by 16. Now, 80 minus 16 will give you the new value of the population, which will be 64. So the second year, you get to 64 people. The third year, or let's say 64 people or 64%, because we're working from 100. The third year, you're going to have 20% of 64. That will give you 6.4 times 2. That will be 12.8. So you get now 64 minus 12.8. That will be around, let's say, 50, 51. So by the end of the third year, you should get 51 people or 51%. Then the fourth year, you get 20% times 51. So that will be 51 divided by 5. That will be around 10 people that will drop that year. Then 51 minus 10 should give you 40, or let's say 41. Remember, we're taking approximations because you notice that the values that we have here from 1 to 5 are values you see without any decimal points, so they have approximated the values. So the last year, you get 20 over 100 times 41. That will be 80 divided by 10. That's 41 times 2 will be around 82 divided by 10. That will be 8.2. Now, if you say 41 minus 8.2, that should give you roughly 30%. So our answer here will be answer 4. Question 5. Question 5 says that the Italian mark outdid French mark for how many car types sold in Italy in 2019? So we have here a table with different marks. I want to find out the number of Italian mark that performed better than French marks. Another name for mark is a brand. So let's check. Let's compare Italy with France. Okay, Italy with France first year. MPV outdid. Then family didn't. Utility did, that's 2. Then salon didn't. 4x4 did. Then SUV also did. That will give us a total of 4. So our answer here is this is a numerical reasoning question. It outdid by 4. That's MPV, utility, 4x4, and SUV. That corresponds to answer 3. Question 6. 3 men were given a work with an hourly wage of 125, of 150, and 175. Now, at the end of the work, the total amount they received was 108,000 euros. If they worked 8 hours a day for 5 days a week, how many weeks did it took them? Did it took them to do work? All right. So altogether, how much are they earning altogether? They told us that 125 plus 150 plus 175. That gives you 450. All right. Now, if they were paid altogether, this is the amount they make a day, of course. If they were paid 1,008, we can therefore calculate the number of days they have been working. And from there, we can obtain the number of weeks. So to get the number of days they work altogether, number of days will give you 1,800 over 450. 5 goes here, 8. Sorry, 9. Then we have 5 goes into 100 20 times into, that'll be into 120 times, let's say 1,008. That'll be 200 times plus 80. That'll be 1836. That'll be around 2016. So that'll give you 21,600 divided by 9. So we have 3 goes here 3, 3 goes here 7, 3 goes here 2. So that will give us 24. That's around 240 days. So if he works for 240 days and oh no, I made a mistake. That will give us the number of hours. This is the number of hours rather. Hours. So the question says that if they work 8 hours a day, now to get the number of days, what you do is that you divide 240 by 8 hours, since every day they work 8 hours, and you get 24 that is 40 days, or 30 days, sorry. You get 30 days. And how many weeks? If they work for 5 days a week, that means you have to divide it by 5, which will give you 6. So your answer will be 6 weeks. All right, question 7. They say which of the following lines has the equation that, remember that the equation of a straight line is given by y is equals to ax plus b, where a is the slope and B is the y-intercept. So we're going to use these two information, the slope and the y-intercept, in order to pick a choice out of the five that has been given to us. First thing is that we want to rewrite the equation 2x plus 3y is equals to 4 as the equation y is equals to ax plus b. So from here we'll have 3y is equals to 4 minus 2x, and y is equals to minus 2x over 3 plus 4 over 3. From this, we see that our slope is negative. That means that the slope is going to be decreasing from left to right, meaning it's going to go down like this. If it was positive, it would have been going up like this. So every slope that decreases from left to right is a negative slope. But the slope that increases from left to right is a positive slope. So from this, we can eliminate option 1, 2, and 3. We're left with option 4 and 5. The next thing that we have to check is just the y-intercept, which is 4 over 3, which is a positive number. But from option 5, we see that the line cuts on the negative axis of the negative section of the y-axis. And because of that, we're going to choose an answer 4. The next question is question 8, which says, read the passage below and use the information to answer the next question. Among actual advantages that companies and organizations may gain thanks to electronic commerce are a global presence as an inborn characteristics of the internet, better quality for the service thanks to a prompt contact with the customers, and the possibility to answer to their questions very quickly. Custom-made goods offered at a limited price become, in some sectors, direct contact. Because in some sectors, direct contact make it possible to produce customized goods at the same cost as mass production, cutting on the supply chain, lowering the end price, and even gaining greater negotiation power against the distribution. Cost saving, new product market opportunities as new kinds of services may be needed, or some goods may be offered in markets which were previously difficult to reach. The question asks, in some sectors, direct contact with the customer, they want you to complete. What does it imply? What does it mean? What does the text say about this? Now, if we go to line 4, it says that because in some sectors, direct contact with it possible to makes it possible to produce customized goods at the same cost of mass production. And it goes further to say, cutting into the supply chain, lowering the end price, and even gaining greater negotiation power against distribution. So what answer choice here will match the sentence that says in subsectors, direct contact with customers, and so A says causing a redundancy in workforce? No. Cause a reduction in the company's profit margin? No. Makes it possible to automate commercial transaction. And 4 says makes it possible to manufacture custom-made goods at lower cost. That is true. Now, 9 says for the approval of a new plan is sufficient but not necessary the signature of a CEO of a company. If this is true, it will of course be true that now for this kind of question you have to be able to distinguish between the meaning of sufficient and necessary. When they say that something is sufficient, it means that it is just one of the conditions that has to be met in order for the result to be achieved. But when something is necessary, it means it's the only condition and the only way that the output can be achieved. That means that it is a necessity. It's absolutely necessary to fulfill that condition. I just used the word necessary. I didn't want to use the word necessary. So if they tell us that the CEO is sufficient but not necessary, that means that they can go ahead to get the project signed or go ahead with the project without the signature of the CEO. Now let's look at the answer choice. Let's look at answer 3, which says it's possible that a new plan is approved without the CEO's signature. So we'll choose that because that is a clear, good use of the difference between the words sufficient and necessary. Take note of this. Now, question 10 says, what is the best calculation of the base of 2 logarithm of 8,000? Now, I know that by this time of the year, most of our students are in terminal. They have not done logarithms. But if you have not done logarithms, I'm just going to state the principles to my right that I'm going to be using on logarithms and their approximations. I want you to know, to learn these approximations for the equations that you're going to use in logarithm. The approximations are for values from 1 to around 8, 9, 10 of the logarithms of those values to the base 10. So the logarithm of 1 to base 10, the logarithm of 1 to any base gives you always 0. The logarithm of 2 to base 10 is 0.3. The logarithm of 3 to base 10 is 0.4. This is an approximation. You can check it on your calculator on your free time. The logarithm of 4 base 10 is 0.5. The logarithm of 5 base 10 is 0.6. The logarithm of 6 base 10 is 0.7. The logarithm of 7 base 10 is 0.8. The logarithm of 8 base 10 is 0.9. The logarithm of 9 base 10 is 0. I think 94, and the logarithm of 10 base 10. Now, for logarithm of 10 base 10, anything raised to its own base, that means 10 base 10, logarithm of 10 to base 10, logarithm of 9 to base 9 will give you 1. The rule is the logarithm of a to base a equals to 1. Now, I'm going to use for this question these approximations in order to solve the question. Now, question 10. We have the logarithm of 8,000 to base 2. The logarithm of 8,000 to base 2, it can be expressed as the logarithm of 2 into 8,000 times 1,000. Now we're going to use the product law. The product law says that the logarithm to base b of k times t, kt, is the same thing as the logarithm, the same as the logarithm to base b of k plus the logarithm to base b of t. This is one of the rules of logarithm, the laws. So if we apply it on this question, we're going to get the logarithm of 2 of 8 base 2 plus the logarithm of 1,000 base 2. If we apply our principle of indices, we can express the logarithm of 8 base 2 as the logarithm of 2 to the power 3 base 2 plus the logarithm of 1,000, a 10 to the power 3. Now we apply the law of power. The law of power states that the logarithm of to the base b of k to the power t is the same thing as t, the logarithm of k to the base b. This is the rule, which is the law of power of logarithms. Now, if we apply that rule on the previous step, we're going to get 3, the logarithm of 2 base 2, plus the logarithm of 3, the logarithm of 10 base 2. Now, remember the law I stated here? The one on logarithm on a base a gives you 1. That means that logarithm of 2 base 2 gives you 1. You're going to have here 3 into 1 plus 3 into the log of 10 base 2. Now, I'll teach you another law, another rule for logarithms. The rule is the rule of to change the base of a logarithm. Let's imagine that you have the logarithm of k to the base b, and you want to change it to a base a because you want to be able to manipulate more easily. This would give you the logarithm to the base a of k divided by the logarithm to the base a of b. This is your rule. So if we apply it here and we change the base from 2 to 10, you'll see how that is going to become necessary or important for us. So we get 3 into 1 plus 3 into, let's change the logarithm to base 10. The answer of 10 to base 10 divided by the logarithm of 2 to base 10. You see how this becomes now easy for us because the logarithm of 10 to base 10 is 1, and the logarithm of 2 to base 10, according to the approximations that we have here, is 0.3. So that will give us 3 plus 3 into 1 divided by 0.3, and this will give you 13. Since 3 divided by 0.3 is 10 plus 3, which is 13. Now, you may wonder, you may be asking yourself that all what I've done here will take more than a minute 30 seconds, because remember that in your Bocconi you have a minute 30 seconds to solve every question. And what I did here took actually more than a minute 30 seconds. The reason was that I had to show you all the steps, the processes. If I was solving it, I wouldn't have been giving you these laws. I'll have just gone to the necessary steps and gotten my answer in less than 30 seconds. So we move now to the next question, which is question 11. It says, today the expression electronic commerce tends to assume a particular meaning in relation to the development of a planetary scale of telecommunication network, thus distinguishing the realization of a new channel with which companies can take advantage of new ways of making commercial contact with its suppliers and clients. And so, one may think of a technology that leads to a radical change of our habits, comparable with the advent of television as far as speed and broadcast range are concerned. Objects of the exchange are goods, services, certifications, and informations, whereas the principals are private citizens, companies, and public institutions. Question 11 says that the expression EC represents electronic center. EC here talks about electronic commerce, so one is obviously wrong because the text defines EC as electronic commerce, so one is not correct. 2 says a transaction of a commercial nature. Yes, it is true. 3 says a telecommunication network. No, it's not a telecommunication network. And the other answers are not true. We move to question 12. Question 12 says that we have in this question, reply to the next questions referring also to the graph below. We have cash in Italy and European Union in the year 2019. Whenever they give you questions on numerical reasoning, make sure that you read the title of the graph, because sometimes information that are key, that's going to be important to you, that's going to be found in the title. For example, they can give you a title of 2019, but the question concerns 2018. And if you're not careful to take a note about that, you're going to select an answer which you may have spent time to calculate. And the answer, of course, will be the answer choice. But since it doesn't correspond to the title, it's going to be wrong. Remember, the Bocconi tests also your logic. How logical are you? How careful are you? How precise are you? How good are you at noticing little differences, little details in the question that are given to you? It's not all about just solving. No. So question 12 says the biggest percentage of car purchase in 2019 in both Italy and European Union was made in. So that asks for the biggest car purchase in 2019. Okay, let's check. So if we go through the graph, we will notice that the highest sales, because we have here in red, it says European Union, in blue, it says Italy. The highest sales, if you look at the length of the graph, is in January and February. and a year is divided into 4 quarters. January, February, March are the first quarters of a year. So answer 1 is correct. Question 13. Question 13 is concerns a function of a trigonometric ratio. So we have here the function of sine. The function of sine. Let's study a little bit the function of sine. I'll draw a little graph here. If the sine function begins from 0 and moves up and down just like this. Now, this value here, let's say this is a, this is minus a. A here represents the amplitude of your graph, while a cycle of the graph represents your period. This is period. If I say B here, is your period. Now, the graph of the function f of x is equals to sine x. Let's say a sine x. The amplitude usually stands in front of the sine x, such that we have a sine x, your amplitude will be indicated here, and here, b here will be, x here will be what they call the period. For a function of a sine x, the period is 2 pi. The period is 2 pi. But now what happens if you have sine x and your period is 2 pi? What if you have sine 2x? Your period will not be 2 times 2 pi, but rather it will be 2 pi divided by 2. So if you have sine x, you get 2 pi. Sine 2x, you get 2 pi divided by 2, which is equals to pi. Sine 3x equals to 2 pi divided by 3, which is equals to just 2 pi over 3. Since that cannot simplify. What I want to notice is that what happens when you're multiplying your value of x here, your period divides by that same magnitude. But what if we say sine of x minus 2? We will not get 2 pi over 2. Rather, we will get 2 pi times 2, which gives us 4 pi. So now, if we go into the answer choice that are provided to us here, we'll notice that our period in this graph is pi. That means that we're looking for the sine of 2x. Now, also, if we check the amplitude, we say the amplitude is 2. So your function is 2 sine 2x. Correct answer is answer 3. Question 14. Question 14 concerns a question on set. They say mathematics computer studies are taught on a course attended by 30 students. 24 students attended the computer studies course and 16 attended the math course. How many students studied both subjects? You notice that the total number of students is 30. You have 30 students. But when you add the number of students that study computer and math, it doesn't add up. Like you have math plus computer, it gives you 24 plus 16, which is equal to 40. That means that there is an extra of 10 people. Remember the formula, the number of elements, total number of elements is equals to the number of elements of A plus the number of elements of B minus the number of elements in A intersection B. So that means that we have the number of elements of A plus B, which is 30. We have 30 here is equals to 40 minus the number of elements in A intersection B, which is what we're asking for. Math intersection computer. So A intersection B, which here is math intersection computer, will give us 40 minus 30, which is equals to 10. Okay, question 15. I think from question 15, the next 10 questions we're going to see it in the next class. I was intending this class to be just 30 minutes, but I'm seeing that I'm 35 minutes gone. So good. So see you in the next video. I'll be completing the next 10 questions, and we're going to be doing a series of tests like this, 4 of them that I'll be solving them online, not necessarily be students because not every student wants their face to be on YouTube. So if you need to be tutored on more exercises, these exercises are not necessarily reflective of what you need on the exact Bocconi that you're going to be doing, but they are good exercises to prepare you. After when I'm done with the series of 4 preparatory tests, which are going to be like this, a series of 25 questions, I'm going to have another full video where I'll be solving 50 questions. I will not be solving in 75 minutes because I have to use a video to teach. So I may take longer. But once the principles are understood by the students, we expect the students to be able to use those principles to solve the questions under a minute 30 seconds and reach their objective at the end of the line. So stay focused, stay sharp. Look up to our next video, like, share, and subscribe. And point your friends to these videos if they're also preparing their Bocconi exam. Now, I'll be sharing this link to this video to the students and many other videos that are not going to be available here because some of my videos are going to be private to the students that contact me when we have our classes. And I noticed that some students have challenges on some sections of the Bocconi. I'll make a video, but I'll keep it private. And I'll refer it to my students to always be able to get there anytime they need to revise in their path of preparation towards Bocconi. I wish you all the best for those that are taking a Bocconi this weekend. See you next time.